Legal Forms and Checklists for the Advanced Legal Research course at Boston College Law School. Perhaps you've heard, for want of a nail the horse was lost, for want of a horse the rider was lost, for want of a rider the battle was lost, for want of a battle the kingdom was lost, and all for the want of a horseshoe nail. Law is a detailed profession. It's a lot of work paying attention to all those little details that are necessary to achieve the ultimate outcome your client desires. It's a lot of work keeping track of all those little nails. Lawyers, whether they are in a transactional practice or litigation, create a lot of written documents. The work you do as a lawyer involves paying close attention to your choice of language and making sure everything that needs to be there is included. When you have to write something, why start with a blank computer screen? Why not take advantage of the wisdom of past lawyers and build on what they have done? Don't reinvent the wheel. Start with something that has worked in a similar situation and then customize it to meet the particular needs of your client. The first place to look for forms and examples is in your office content management system. Most large legal practices, government and private, have collections of the work they have already done. These documents have the advantage of already being in the preferred style of your office. If you don't have office files to turn to, don't despair. There are many other places that you can find forms and examples to help your drafting of pleadings, as well as documents of all kinds. There are specific books that include nothing but forms, sometimes with annotations. There are databases on a variety of platforms that have different forms in them, some of which we'll take a look at in a moment. There are lots of different kinds of form books. There are encyclopedic sets of forms like American Jurisprudence Legal Forms and AmJur Pleadings and Practice Forms. And there are form books for specific topics and jurisdictions. Also, many books written for practitioners contain forms in them, even if the book is not a form book per se. Often very general secondary sources will include forms, either within the text itself or as exhibits at the end. Any document that another lawyer has drafted can serve as a model to you, so court dockets and SAC filings can be great sources of inspiration in helping you draft your own pleadings and documents. Let's talk first about form books. One way to look for forms is to include the word forms in your catalog search, since those works which include forms usually have a note to that effect in their catalog records. Remember that our catalog provides references to books available online as well as in print, so you can look for electronic form books through our catalog, but you can also go straight to your favorite online platform. One tool for finding forms on Westlaw Edge is the Form Finder. Form Finder is organized by state and also by publication. By selecting a state like Massachusetts, we can now search all Massachusetts forms, limit your form by topic, or select a particular publication. Let's look at the Legal Forms volume of the Mass Practice series. On the left is an expandable table of contents. We can search the whole book or individual chapters, or if we don't know the words to search for, we can expand the outline and select sections of the book to read. On the Westlaw Edge homepage, under Specialty Areas, is a link to sample agreements. These are actual agreements that people have entered into. As specialty areas, these are not part of the Westlaw Universal Search and must be chosen prior to running a search. Another Thompson resource is Practical Law. You can run a global search or look at materials by practice area, resource type, or jurisdiction, state or national. Under resource types, we see practice notes, standard documents, standard clauses, checklists, and toolkits among our choices. Here is a document called Boilerplate Clauses. There are notes integrated into this document that will help explain the significance of these clauses to help decide whether or not these would be useful additions to a document being drafted. In addition to standard documents and clauses, there are a series of checklists to help keep track of all the details in all sorts of practice areas. These tend to be authored by leading practitioners within the field with the assistance of the Practical Law Corporation. Lexis Plus content includes sample forms, but for more practical advice, choose Practice Guidance from the Resources cube in the upper left-hand corner of the screen. Lexis Practice Guidance is designed for attorneys in transactional practices and is organized according to practice areas. Let's look at real estate practice as an example. There's a list of tasks on the left. Let's select Letter of Interest. Letters of intent. Our results are grouped by type of material. Practice notes show up first to provide us with background, or we can choose to go directly to forms. Here are some jurisdiction-specific forms, but let's look at the one labeled Core Document. On the left, you can view a table of contents for the form to help you navigate within the document itself. On the right is a link to open or download the form in MS Word. The form itself contains places to fill in names, addresses, and amounts. Consult drafting notes and alternate and optional clauses to customize this form. On Bloomberg Law, find forms and checklists under Practical Guidance. You can search Practical Guidance on the Universal Search bar by choosing Practical Guidance under U.S. Secondary Sources, or browse Practical Guidance by topic. Suppose you want guidance on how to implement a non-qualified deferred compensation plan. That link takes you to a page that assists you step by step through the process. At different steps in the process, there are overviews, sample policies and forms, checklists, and timelines. There are also links to key statutes and rules, as well as additional resources. Here is one of the sample agreements provided in this guidance. You can show or hide commentary on the various choices to be made in drafting this agreement. The last resource we'll look at is PLI Plus from the Practicing Law Institute. Access PLI Plus from the alphabetical list of law library databases. You can search books, forms and checklists, transcripts, or all content. Or you can browse by filtering by format, date, practice area, and type. This was a browse filtered by format. Forms, form type clauses, and finally wills and trusts. The download screen tells you about the form and where it came from. Perhaps you might want to look at the book this came from to get more information on this topic. Remember that forms are only a starting point, a defense against a blank computer screen. Your clients are counting on you to apply your legal expertise to make sure that the documents you ultimately produce are tailored to their individual needs. You may need to consult a number of sources to find all the provisions you use as starting points, especially in complex situations. The form book is a tool to be used by, and not a replacement for, a lawyer.